Minnesota Real Estate State-Specific Exam. Question 1. Which Minnesota tax is generally associated with recording a mortgage that secures debt on real property for Cameron in Eagan involving a small retail building priced at $413,000? Option A. Mortgage registry tax. Option B. Personal income withholding tax. Option C. Sales tax on furniture. Option D. Special assessment appeal fee. The correct answer is option A. Mortgage registry tax. Mortgage registry tax is tied to the recording of a mortgage securing debt. Personal income withholding, furniture sales tax, and assessment appeals are different issues. The exam often distinguishes mortgage registry tax from deed tax. Question 2. Under the Minnesota Human Rights Act, which protected basis expands beyond the traditional federal fair housing list for Harper and Winona involving a small retail building priced at $266,500? Option A. Preference for a short commute. Option B. Status with regard to public assistance. Option C. Owning 2 vehicles. Option D. Having a fixed-rate mortgage. The correct answer is option B. Status with regard to public assistance. Minnesota housing and real property discrimination law includes status with regard to public assistance among protected bases. Commute preference, vehicle ownership, and mortgage type are not protected classes. State law can add protections beyond the federal baseline. Question 3. A broker learns that a foundation defect could significantly affect Taylor Chen's use of a rental house in Maple Grove. What should the broker do? Option A. Stay silent because the defect might reduce the seller's price. Option B. Disclose only after closing if the buyer complains. Option C. Disclose the material fact to the prospective purchaser. Option D. Treat the defect as confidential even if it affects use and enjoyment. The correct answer is option C. Disclose the material fact to the prospective purchaser. Known material facts that could adversely and significantly affect an ordinary buyer's use or enjoyment must be disclosed. Protecting a sale price does not excuse non-disclosure, and waiting until after closing defeats the purpose of the rule. Confidentiality does not cover facts that law requires to be disclosed. Question 4. A rental property produces $61,000 in net operating income and investors require a 7% capitalization rate. What value is indicated by the income approach? Option A. $187,000. Option B. $144,200. Option C. $22,000. Option D. $871,429. The correct answer is option D. $871,429. The income approach using direct capitalization divides net operating income by the capitalization rate. Gross rent multiplier, loan amount, and frontage calculations use different inputs. The cap rate converts expected net income into an indicated value. Question 5. A licensee in Blaine drafts a complex legal clause for Parker Lee instead of recommending legal counsel. What risk is created? Option A. Unauthorized practice of law. Option B. Constructive eviction. Option C. Functional obsolescence. Option D. Inverse condemnation. The correct answer is option A. Unauthorized practice of law. Licensees may fill in approved forms and explain business terms, but drafting legal clauses can cross into unauthorized practice of law. Constructive eviction, functional obsolescence, and inverse condemnation describe different legal or valuation issues. Complex legal drafting should be handled by an attorney. Question 6. A legal description identifies a lot and block in a recorded subdivision plat. Which description method is used for Taylor and Brainerd involving a townhome priced at $206,000? Option A. Rectangular survey only. Option B. Lot and block. Option C. A monument list description. Option D. A front foot appraisal. The correct answer is option B. Lot and block. Lot and block descriptions rely on a recorded subdivision plat. Rectangular survey uses sections, townships, and ranges, while front foot appraisal values frontage. The presence of a recorded plat points to lot and block. Question 7. A $444,500 sale carries a 6.2% commission. What is the total commission before any split? Option A, $111,125. Option B, $5,001. Option C, $27,781. Option D, $7,556. The correct answer is option C, $27,781. Total commission is found by multiplying the sale price by the commission rate. Down payment, discount points, and property tax calculations use different bases. The phrase before any split means the full brokerage commission is calculated first. Question 8. A deed gives Blair possession for life, then ownership passes to Rowan Rivera. What interest does Rowan Rivera hold before Blair's death? Option A, leasehold estate. Option B, easement in gross. Option C, mortgage lien. Option D, a remainder interest. The correct answer is option D, remainder interest. A remainder interest is a future interest that becomes possessory after a life estate ends. A leasehold is a tenant's possession, an easement in gross is a use right, and a mortgage lien secures debt. The buyer's right follows the life tenant's measuring life. Question 9. An appraiser subtracts curable physical deterioration and functional obsolescence from replacement cost. Which approach is being used for REIS in Duluth involving a condominium unit priced at $229,000? Option A, cost approach. Option B, sales comparison approach only. Option C, income approach only. Option D, gross rent multiplier only. The correct answer is option A, cost approach. The cost approach estimates land value plus improvement cost minus depreciation. Sales comparison relies on comparable sales, and income analysis capitalizes income. Depreciation from replacement cost is the clue. Question 10. A city takes private land for a public road after paying just compensation. What power is being exercised for Blair in Woodbury involving a lake cabin priced at $287,500? Option A is cheat. Option B, eminent domain. Option C, adverse possession. Option D, police power only. The correct answer is option B, eminent domain. Eminent domain is the government's power to take private property for public use with just compensation. Escheat transfers property to the state when no heirs exist, and adverse possession is private acquisition through possession. Police power regulates use but does not by itself describe a compensated taking. Question 11. Why should a purchase agreement for a rental house in St. Paul be in writing and signed by the party to be charged? Option A. All oral contracts are criminal offenses. Option B. Only lenders may sign real estate contracts. Option C. The statute of frauds requires most real estate sale contracts to be in writing to be enforceable. Option D. A deed is unnecessary if the parties shake hands. The correct answer is option C. The statute of frauds requires most real estate sale contracts to be in writing to be enforceable. The statute of frauds generally requires contracts for the sale of real property to be in writing and signed by the party to be charged. Oral agreements may fail enforceability even if the parties intended a deal. Lender-only signatures and handshake transfers do not replace the required written contract and later conveyance documents. Question 12. A Mankato buyer's loan has small monthly payments but one large final payment. What is that final payment called for Emerson in Mankato involving a lake cabin priced at $207,500? Option A, proration credit. Option B, replacement reserve. Option C, equity dividend. Option D, a balloon payment. The correct answer is option D, balloon payment. A balloon payment is a large unpaid balance due at the end of a loan term. A proration credit divides expenses at closing, a replacement reserve funds future repairs, and an equity dividend is an investment return measure. The structure described is a financing feature. Question 13. A lender offers Rowan Gwynn a mortgage whose interest rate can change based on an index after an initial period. What type of loan is this? Option A, adjustable rate mortgage. Option B, package mortgage only. Option C, open-end listing. Option D, a graduated lease. The correct answer is option A, adjustable rate mortgage. An adjustable rate mortgage has an interest rate that may change according to an index and loan terms. A package mortgage includes personal property, an open-end listing is not a standard listing type, and a graduated lease changes rent over time. The index-based interest change identifies the loan type. Question 14. A property use existed legally before a zoning change and may continue despite the new rule. What is it called for Casey and Red Wing involving a single-family home priced at $262,000? Option A, blockbusting. Option B, legal non-conforming use. Option C, estoppel certificate. Option D, defeasible fee only. The correct answer is option B, legal non-conforming use. A legal non-conforming use lawfully existed before a zoning change and is often allowed to continue under limits. Blockbusting is a fair housing violation, estoppel certificates relate to leases or representations, and defeasible fee is an ownership estate. The timing before the zoning change is key. Question 15. When Casey Okafor buys a condominium unit in Stillwater, what does the buyer typically own? Option A, only a stock certificate and no real property interest. Option B, the entire building in Severalty. Option C, the individual unit plus an undivided interest in the common elements. Option D, a temporary license to occupy the unit. The correct answer is option C, the individual unit plus an undivided interest in the common elements. Condominium ownership generally includes the individual unit and an undivided interest in common elements. A cooperative usually involves shares and a proprietary lease, not condominium ownership. The buyer does not own the whole building alone or merely hold a temporary license. Question 16. A legal description refers to township, range, and section. Which survey system is being used for Rowan in Bloomington involving a condominium unit priced at $461,500? Option A, meets and bounds only. Option B, lot and block only. Option C, the gross lease system. Option D, rectangular government survey system. The correct answer is option D, rectangular government survey system. The rectangular government survey system uses townships, ranges, and sections. Meets and bounds relies on boundary calls, and lot and block relies on subdivision plats. Gross lease is a lease structure, not a land description system. Question 17. What is the main purpose of an owner's title insurance policy for Hayden Johnson? Option A, to protect against covered title defects that existed before the policy date. Option B, to insure the roof against storm damage. Option C, to guarantee future market appreciation. Option D, to replace the need for a purchase agreement. The correct answer is option A, to protect against covered title defects that existed before the policy date. Owner's title insurance protects against covered past title defects, liens, or ownership issues discovered after closing. It is not property casualty insurance, an appreciation guarantee, or a substitute for the purchase contract. Title insurance focuses on ownership risk, not physical damage or investment performance. Question 18. A Minneapolis parcel contains 3 acres. How many square feet are in the parcel for Quinn in Minneapolis involving a mixed-use property priced at $346,000? Option A, $32,400. Option B, $130,680. Option C, $259,500. Option D, $5,536. The correct answer is option B, $130,680. 1 acre contains 43,560 square feet, so acreage is converted by multiplying acres by 43,560. Frontage value, loan amount, and tax amount are calculated from different data. Unit conversion is a common real estate math task. Question 19. A sudden flood removes soil from a riverbank in Beltrami County. What term describes the sudden loss for Taylor in Brainerd involving a newly built townhouse priced at $457,500? Option A, accretion. Option B, assemblage. Option C, divulsion. Option D, plottage. The correct answer is option C, avulsion. Avulsion is sudden loss or change of land by natural forces. Accretion is gradual buildup, assemblage combines parcels, and plottage is the value increase from assemblage. The word sudden distinguishes avulsion. Question 20. A buyer takes title while the seller's existing loan remains in place, but the buyer does not become personally liable to the lender. What phrase best describes this for Skylar in Moorhead involving a rental house priced at $223,500? Option A. Assuming the mortgage with release. Option B. Creating a life estate. Option C. Recording a quitclaim covenant. Option D. Taking subject to the mortgage. The correct answer is option D. Taking subject to the mortgage. Taking subject to a mortgage means the property remains security for the debt, but the buyer does not personally promise the lender to pay. Assumption involves personal liability unless otherwise released. Life estates and quitclaim covenants are unrelated to this financing arrangement. Question 21. At Pine Ridge Realty, a salesperson asks which online system the Commerce Department uses for many licensing services such as applications, renewals, and transfers for Rowan and Bloomington involving a condominium unit priced at $347,000. Option A, Pulse. Option B, MLS Grid. Option C, Torrens Online. Option D, HUD Exchange. The correct answer is option A, Pulse. Pulse is the electronic licensing system used for many Minnesota Commerce Department licensing services. MLS systems, Torrens records, and HUD resources serve different purposes. Knowing the licensing portal helps distinguish administrative filing from transaction records and federal housing resources. Question 22. A facilitator working with Taylor in Winona performs services without representing either side. Which fiduciary duty generally remains unless expanded by written agreement? Option A, loyalty to the seller only. Option B, confidentiality. Option C, obedience to the buyer's investment goals. Option D, advocacy for the party paying the commission. The correct answer is option B, confidentiality. A facilitator does not act in a fiduciary capacity as a buyer's broker, seller's broker, or dual agent, but confidentiality remains a duty unless the relationship is expanded by written agreement. Loyalty, obedience, and advocacy belong to agency representation, not ordinary facilitator status. Commission payment does not create fiduciary representation by itself. Question 23. A listing agreement for a St. Paul seller is missing a definite end date. Why is that a licensing problem for Parker and St. Paul involving a fourplex priced at $471,500? Option A, listing agreements are valid only if they renew forever. Option B, expiration dates are allowed only in commercial leases. Option C, Minnesota listing agreements must include a definite expiration date. Option D, the county recorder assigns the expiration date after closing. The correct answer is option C. Minnesota listing agreements must include a definite expiration date. Minnesota listing agreements must be written and include a definite expiration date. Automatic indefinite listings create consumer protection concerns and do not meet the required content rules. County recorders do not supply listing agreement expiration dates. Question 24. If Skylar Nolan tells the licensee that the seller will not perform under the signed purchase agreement, what must the licensee do? Option A, keep the information confidential until the closing date. Option B, cancel the agreement without telling the buyer. Option C, disclose only if the seller misses a loan contingency. Option D, immediately disclose the stated intent not to perform to the other party or parties. The correct answer is option D. Immediately disclose the stated intent not to perform to the other party or parties. A licensee put on notice that a party will not perform according to the transaction agreement must disclose that intent to the other party or parties. Keeping the information secret would mislead the other side. The rule is different from a party's inability to satisfy a contingency. Question 25. In appraisal, what does highest and best use require for Rowan and Bloomington involving a condominium unit priced at $333,500? Option A. A use that is legally permissible, physically possible, financially feasible, and maximally productive. Option B. The use that produces the highest commission. Option C. The use preferred by the current tenant only. Option D. The use with the lowest property tax bill. The correct answer is option A. A use that is legally permissible, physically possible, financially feasible, and maximally productive. Highest and best use considers legal, physical, financial, and productivity tests. Commission, tenant preference, and tax savings alone do not determine highest and best use. The concept focuses on the most supportable use of the property as real estate. Question 26. Unless the parties' written agreement says otherwise, when should a Minnesota listing broker deposit earnest money after receiving it and final acceptance has occurred for Drew in Bemidji involving a condominium unit priced at $467,500? Option A. Only after the buyer's loan is fully underwritten. Option B. Within 3 business days of receipt or final acceptance, whichever is later. Option C. At any time before the deed is recorded. Option D. Within 30 calendar days after the first showing. The correct answer is option B. Within 3 business days of receipt or final acceptance, whichever is later. Minnesota trust account rules provide a default deadline of 3 business days after receipt or final acceptance, whichever is later, when the written agreement is silent. Waiting for underwriting, recording, or an arbitrary 30-day period would not meet that default rule. The parties can address timing in their written agreement. Question 27. A licensee directs families with children only toward one area of Northfield. What fair housing problem does that conduct create for Morgan in Northfield involving a rental house priced at $203,500? Option A. Amortization. Option B. Subordination. Option C. Steering. Option D. Novation. The correct answer is option C. Steering. Steering occurs when a real estate professional guides prospects toward or away from areas based on a protected characteristic. Amortization is loan repayment, subordination is lien priority adjustment, and novation is contract substitution. The conduct described limits housing choice and raises fair housing risk. Question 28. A loan payment schedule gradually reduces principal until the loan balance reaches zero. What financing term describes this for Avery and Blaine involving a small retail building priced at $239,500? Option A. Accretion. Option B. Subordination. Option C. This cheat. Option D. Amortization. The correct answer is option D. Amortization. Amortization is repayment of a debt through payments that reduce principal over time. Accretion is natural land buildup. Subordination changes lien priority, and escheat transfers property to the state when no heirs exist. The decreasing loan balance is the clue. Question 29. At the end of a Minnesota tenancy, what must a landlord generally do with the tenant's security deposit after receiving a forwarding address for Riley in Eden Prairie involving a condominium unit priced at $330,500? Option A. Return the deposit plus interest or provide a written explanation of lawful deductions within the required time. Option B. Keep the entire deposit automatically as a cleaning fee. Option C. Apply the deposit to the broker's commission. Option D. Record the deposit with the county as a deed restriction. The correct answer is option A. Return the deposit plus interest or provide a written explanation of lawful deductions within the required time. Minnesota law requires the landlord to return the deposit with interest or provide a written explanation for lawful deductions within the required period. Automatic forfeiture, commission payment, and county deed restrictions do not match the security deposit rules. Security deposits remain tenant funds unless a lawful deduction applies. Question 30. Why is the Minnesota agency disclosure form given to Riley Peterson not enough by itself to create representation? Option A. It automatically creates dual agency for every transaction. Option B. It is a disclosure only, and representation requires a written listing contract or buyer representation contract. Option C. It replaces all purchase agreement requirements. Option D. It gives the consumer a license to sell property. The correct answer is option B. It is a disclosure only, and representation requires a written listing contract or buyer representation contract. The agency disclosure form informs consumers about relationship options but does not create representation. Representation requires a written contract such as a listing agreement or buyer representation contract. The other choices confuse disclosure with dual agency, purchase contracts, or licensing authority. Question 31. A property has monthly gross rent of $1,525 and sells for $175,375. What is the gross rent multiplier? Option A, 8.5%. Option B, 7%. Option C, 115.0. Option D, 75%. The correct answer is option C, 115.0. Gross rent multiplier is price divided by gross rent for the same period. Cap rate, commission rate, and loan-to-value percentage measure different relationships. GRM is a quick income property comparison tool, not a complete valuation method. Question 32. If assessed value is $302,600 and the tax rate is 22 mils, what is the annual property tax? Option A, $1,802. Option B, $9,612. Option C, $35,600. Option D, $6,657. The correct answer is option D, $6,657. A mil is $1 per $1,000 of assessed value, so the tax is assessed value multiplied by mils divided by 1,000. Monthly interest, points, and down payment are financing calculations. Millage questions require converting mils to a decimal rate. Question 33. Why would an appraiser rely heavily on the cost approach for a newly built rental house in St. Paul? Option A, replacement cost and depreciation can be estimated more reliably for new improvements. Option B, it ignores land value completely. Option C, it is the only legal method for all residential property. Option D, it values the property only by monthly rent. The correct answer is option A. Replacement cost and depreciation can be estimated more reliably for new improvements. The cost approach is useful for new construction because replacement cost and accrued depreciation can be estimated with less uncertainty. It still includes land value and is not the only legal method for every property. Monthly rent belongs to income analysis rather than cost analysis. Question 34. A broker tells competing firms to keep commissions at the same percentage in Brainerd. What legal risk is most obvious? Option A, accretion. Option B, price fixing under antitrust law. Option C, constructive eviction. Option D, functional obsolescence. The correct answer is option B, price fixing under antitrust law. Competitors agreeing on commission rates can be price fixing, an antitrust violation. Accretion, constructive eviction, and functional obsolescence involve land change, landlord-tenant issues, and valuation. Commissions must be independently negotiated, not fixed by competitors. Question 35. A lender requires private mortgage insurance because Rowan Nguyen's conventional loan has a high loan-to-value ratio. What does PMI primarily protect? Option A, the buyer against title defects. Option B, the seller against market depreciation. Option C, the lender against part of the risk of borrower default. Option D, the appraiser against negligence claims. The correct answer is option C, the lender against part of the risk of borrower default. Private mortgage insurance protects the lender when a conventional loan has higher default risk due to low borrower equity. It does not protect the buyer's title, guarantee the seller's price, or insure an appraiser's liability. Borrowers often pay for PMI, but the lender is the protected party. Question 36. A landlord in Duluth deducts from a security deposit for unpaid rent and damage beyond ordinary wear and tear. What makes those deductions more defensible? Option A, they are based only on the landlord's dislike of the tenant. Option B, they include normal fading of paint from ordinary use. Option C, they are taken without notice because deposits are always non-refundable. Option D, They are tied to permitted reasons and supported by a written explanation. The correct answer is option D. They are tied to permitted reasons and supported by a written explanation. Minnesota security deposit deductions are generally tied to unpaid obligations or damage beyond ordinary wear and tear, with a written explanation when money is withheld. Personal dislike, normal wear, and treating every deposit as non-refundable are not defensible bases. Documentation is essential in landlord-tenant accounting. Question 37. If a Bemidji property sells for $319,000 and the buyer obtains an 70% loan, what is the buyer's down payment? Option A, $95,700. Option B, $223,300. Option C, $19,140. Option D, $1,119. The correct answer is option A, $95,700. The down payment is the sale price minus the loan amount. The loan amount is the financed portion, the commission is a brokerage compensation calculation, and the tax proration allocates property taxes. Separating buyer equity from loan proceeds is a core exam math skill. Question 38. An appraiser adjusts comparable sales for differences from the subject property. Which approach is being applied for Finley and Edina involving a mixed-use property priced at $412,500? Option A, cost approach only. Option B, sales comparison approach. Option C, income approach only. Option D, mortgage registry method. The correct answer is option B, sales comparison approach. The sales comparison approach compares the subject to similar sold properties and adjusts for differences. Cost and income approaches use different inputs, and mortgage registry tax is not an appraisal method. Comparable sale adjustment is a core valuation technique. Question 39. A buyer brings certified funds for price, closing costs, and prepaid items after lender credits are applied. What is this amount commonly called for Riley and Eden Prairie involving a condominium unit priced at $358,500? Option A, gross rent multiplier. Option B, of functional obsolescence. Option C, cash to close. Option D, protective list. The correct answer is option C, cash to close. Cash to close is the amount the buyer must bring to complete the transaction after credits, loan proceeds, and closing charges are calculated. GRM is an appraisal shortcut, functional obsolescence is depreciation, and a protective list relates to override clauses. The question is about closing settlement funds. Question 40. Which Minnesota tax is generally associated with recording a deed that conveys real property for Cameron in Egan involving a newly built townhouse priced at $192,500? Option A, mortgage registry tax only. Option B, utility franchise fee. Option C, federal gift tax return fee. Option D, state deed tax. The correct answer is option D, state deed tax. Deed tax is generally associated with recording a deed conveying real property. Mortgage registry tax relates to mortgage debt, while utility franchise and federal gift tax issues are outside the ordinary deed recording charge. The transaction document determines which tax applies. Question 41. Two investors own a Minneapolis duplex with unequal shares and no survivorship language. Which ownership form is most likely for Quinn in Minneapolis involving a mixed-use property priced at $456,000? Option A, tenancy in common. Option B, tenancy by the entirety. Option C, severalty. Option D, life tenancy only. The correct answer is option A, tenancy in common. Tenancy in common allows unequal ownership shares and has no automatic right of survivorship. Severalty means one owner, and a life tenancy is measured by a life. Tenancy by the entirety is a special marital form not described by unequal investor shares. Question 42. Recording a deed for a newly built townhouse in Carver County primarily gives what type of notice to the public? Option A, private notice only to the buyer's lender. Option B, constructive notice. Option C, a zoning variance. Option D, a guarantee of physical condition. The correct answer is option B, constructive notice. Recording places an instrument in the public records and gives constructive notice of the recorded interest. It does not create a zoning variance or guarantee the property's physical condition. The public records system protects priority and notice, not building quality. Question 43. An easement benefits a neighboring parcel by allowing driveway access across Taylor Okafor's land. What type of easement is most likely? Option A, personal license only. Option B, trade fixture. Option C, easement appurtenant. Option D, a mechanic's lien. The correct answer is option C, easement appurtenant. An easement appurtenant benefits another parcel and usually runs with the land. A personal license is revocable permission, a trade fixture is tenant property, and a mechanic's lien secures payment for improvements. The presence of a benefited parcel points to an appurtenant easement. Question 44. A utility company has the right to run power lines across a Egan parcel. Which property right is usually involved for Cameron in Egan involving a townhome priced at $304,000? Option A, estate for years. Option B, divulsion. Option C, remainder interest. Option D, easement in gross. The correct answer is option D, easement in gross. A utility easement often benefits a company rather than a neighboring parcel, making it an easement in gross. An estate for years is a leasehold, a avulsion is sudden land change, and a remainder follows a life estate. The utilities right is a non-possessory use right. Question 45. A buyer purchases a $457,500 property with a 90% loan. What is the approximate loan amount? Option A, $411,750. Option B, $45,750. Option C, $27,450. Option D, $3,550. The correct answer is option A, $411,750. Loan amount is found by multiplying the sale price by the loan-to-value percentage. Down payment is the remaining equity, commission is based on brokerage compensation, and annual tax is a government charge. The loan-to-value percentage controls the financing amount. Question 46. While interviewing with two firms in St. Cloud, Schuyler asks how many Minnesota brokers may supervise the salesperson during the same period. Option A, 2 brokers if both brokers consent. Option B, 1 actively licensed broker. Option C, any number of brokers if the salesperson discloses the arrangement. Option D, 1 broker for residential sales and a separate broker for leases. The correct answer is option B, 1 actively licensed broker. A salesperson in Minnesota is licensed to act on behalf of 1 broker during the same period. Consent or disclosure does not create authority to work under multiple brokers. Splitting residential and leasing work between brokers would still violate the Single Broker Association rule. Question 47. Which document is used to convey ownership of real property from grantor to grantee for Kendall in Maple Grove involving a fourplex priced at $230,000? Option A, promissory note. Option B, listing presentation. Option C, deed. Option D, home inspection checklist. The correct answer is option C, deed. A deed is the instrument used to convey title from grantor to grantee. A promissory note creates a debt promise, a listing presentation markets services, and an inspection checklist reports property condition. Conveyance and financing documents have different functions. Question 48. A parcel borders a non-navigable stream. Rights connected to that water are commonly called what for Reese in Duluth involving a condominium unit priced at $408,500? Option A, literal rights only. Option B, emblement rights. Option C is subrogation rights. Option D, riparian rights. The correct answer is option D, riparian rights. Riparian rights relate to land adjoining rivers or streams. Literal rights are associated with lakes and other large bodies of water, while emblements and subrogation are different concepts. Water-adjacent property rights are common ownership questions. Question 49. If annual property taxes of $2,950 are prorated to the seller for 172 days on a 365-day basis, approximately what amount is charged to the seller? Option A, $1,390. Option B, $21,905. Option C, $9,099. Option D, $1,643. The correct answer is option A, $1,390. Tax proration divides the annual tax by 365 and multiplies by the number of seller days. Commission, discount points, and monthly interest are unrelated calculations. Proration allocates an annual expense fairly between buyer and seller at closing. Question 50. At closing, a seller debit for unpaid property taxes usually means what for Cameron and Egan involving a newly built townhouse priced at $220,500? Option A. The buyer is paying the seller's commission twice. Option B. The seller is being charged for the portion owed for the seller's period of ownership. Option C. The lender has forgiven the loan. Option D. The deed has failed to convey title. The correct answer is option B. The seller is being charged for the portion owed for the seller's period of ownership. A seller debit reduces the seller's proceeds for an amount the seller owes, such as the seller's share of property taxes. It does not double a commission, forgive a loan, or prove the deed failed. Debits and credits allocate amounts between the parties. Question 51. A salesperson discovers an error in an advertisement after publication. What is the most professional next step for Riley and Eden Prairie involving a vacant lot priced at $379,000? Option A. Ignore it because errors in ads never matter. Option B. Blame the buyer publicly. Option C. Promptly correct the advertisement and notify the broker according to office procedures. Option D. Delete all transaction records. The correct answer is option C. Promptly correct the advertisement and notify the broker according to office procedures. Advertising must be accurate and compliant, so prompt correction and broker notification are appropriate. Ignoring errors, blaming clients, or deleting records creates greater compliance risk. Professional practice requires correction and documentation. Question 52. In a dual agency situation in Duluth, why must the licensee avoid advocating exclusively for one party for Reese in Duluth involving a condominium unit priced at $245,000? Option A. The broker becomes a government mediator. Option B. The buyer automatically becomes the broker's only client. Option C. The seller's broker relationship disappears at acceptance. Option D. The broker owes duties to both buyer and seller within the limits of dual agency. The correct answer is option D. The broker owes duties to both buyer and seller within the limits of dual agency. Dual agency means the broker owes duties to both sides and must work within those limits. The broker is not converted into a government mediator, and neither party becomes the only client. Acceptance of an offer does not eliminate the agency relationship or the disclosure limits. Question 53. Why might Skylar Wilson use a quitclaim deed to clear a possible title issue? Option A. It transfers whatever interest the grantor may have without making title warranties. Option B. It guarantees the property is free of every lien. Option C. It creates a new mortgage automatically. Option D. It replaces the need for delivery and acceptance. The correct answer is option A. It transfers whatever interest the grantor may have without making title warranties. A quitclaim deed can release or transfer any interest the grantor may have, but it does not warrant title quality. It does not guarantee lien-free ownership or create a mortgage. Like other deeds, it still depends on proper execution, delivery, and acceptance. Question 54. An advertisement says a lake cabin is available only for adults with no children. What is the main fair housing concern for Blair in Woodbury involving a lake cabin priced at $352,500? Option A. The ad forgot to mention the roof age. Option B. The statement indicates a preference or limitation based on familial status. Option C. The ad uses a list price instead of an appraised value. Option D. The ad includes the city name. The correct answer is option B. The statement indicates a preference or limitation based on familial status. Advertising cannot indicate a discriminatory preference or limitation based on familial status except where a valid housing for older persons exemption applies. Roof age, list price, and city name are not the fair housing issue in the wording. The problem is discouraging families with children. Question 55. For Taylor Miller's first real estate job in Maple Grove, who submits the Minnesota salesperson license application after the applicant becomes associated with a broker? Option A. The applicant directly through a personal account only. Option B. The listing client from the applicant's first transaction. Option C. The licensed real estate broker with whom the applicant is associated. Option D. The county recorder in the county where the applicant lives. The correct answer is option C. The licensed real estate broker with whom the applicant is associated. A Minnesota salesperson must be associated with a licensed broker, and the broker submits the license application. The applicant alone does not file the salesperson application, clients have no filing role, and county recorders do not issue salesperson licenses. Broker sponsorship is central to salesperson licensure. Question 56. Which ownership estate gives Kendall Nolan the greatest bundle of rights with no stated end date or condition? Option A. Estate at sufferance. Option B. Life estate. Option C. License. Option D. Fee simple absolute. The correct answer is option D. Fee simple absolute. Fee simple absolute is the broadest ownership estate and can continue indefinitely. A life estate ends with a measuring life, an estate at sufferance arises from holdover possession, and a license is permission rather than an estate. The key phrase is ownership without a stated end date or condition. Question 57. A factory closure outside the neighborhood reduces demand for nearby homes. What type of depreciation does this suggest for Kendall in Maple Grove involving a fourplex priced at $208,000? Option A. External obsolescence. Option B. Physical deterioration only. Option C. Functional obsolescence only. Option D. Accession. The correct answer is option A. External obsolescence. External obsolescence is value loss caused by factors outside the property, such as economic changes or adverse surroundings. Physical deterioration is wear and tear, while functional obsolescence is internal design deficiency. A factory closure is external to the property. Question 58. Two brokerages agree that one will work only north of Minneapolis and the other only south. What antitrust violation may this suggest? Option A. Redemption. Option B. A market allocation. Option C. Assemblage. Option D. Is subrogation. The correct answer is option B. Market allocation. Market allocation occurs when competitors divide customers or territories instead of competing. Redemption, assemblage, and subrogation are unrelated real estate concepts. Geographic division by competing brokerages creates serious antitrust risk. Question 59. After passing the examination, Morgan wants to submit a Minnesota salesperson license application immediately. Which education requirement still must be met before applying for Morgan in Northfield involving a rental house priced at $242,500? Option A. Only course I is ever required for the license. Option B. A broker's 30-hour course must replace course 3. Option C. Courses 2 and 3 must be successfully completed if they have not already been completed. Option D. No additional education is needed once the exam is passed. The correct answer is option C. Courses 2 and 3 must be successfully completed if they have not already been completed. Course I opens exam eligibility, but courses 2 and 3 must be completed before the salesperson license application. Passing the exam does not erase the remaining pre-license education requirement. The other options either omit required courses or invent a broker-only replacement course. Question 60. During negotiations in Blaine, Parker Johnson changes the price and closing date in the seller's offer. What is the legal effect of that response? Option A. It is an acceptance because some terms stayed the same. Option B. It creates a lease instead of a purchase contract. Option C. It keeps the original offer open forever. Option D. It is a counteroffer that rejects the original offer and proposes new terms. The correct answer is option D. It is a counteroffer that rejects the original offer and proposes new terms. Changing material terms creates a counteroffer rather than an acceptance. The original offer is rejected unless the offeror renews or accepts the new terms. Keeping some terms unchanged does not preserve the original offer forever or convert the transaction into a lease. Question 61. A deed is signed by the grantor but never delivered to Blair Wilson. Why is delivery important? Option A. Delivery shows the grantor's intent that the deed take effect. Option B. Delivery sets the mortgage interest rate. Option C. Delivery replaces legal description requirements. Option D. Delivery creates a leasehold only. The correct answer is option A. Delivery shows the grantor's intent that the deed take effect. A deed must be delivered and accepted to operate as a conveyance. Delivery reflects the grantor's intent that the instrument take effect. It does not set loan terms, replace the legal description, or create only a leasehold. Question 62. A seller says the basement is perfectly dry despite knowing of repeated water intrusion. Why is that more than ordinary puffing for Morgan in Northfield involving a duplex priced at $341,000? Option A. It is always protected opinion regardless of knowledge. Option B. It is a factual misrepresentation about a material property condition. Option C. It is allowed if the buyer gets a loan. Option D. It becomes legal if stated verbally instead of in writing. The correct answer is option B. It is a factual misrepresentation about a material property condition. A specific false statement about a known material condition can be misrepresentation. Puffing is general opinion, not a false factual claim about water problems. Financing approval or verbal delivery does not make a known material misstatement acceptable. Question 63. A title search finds an unpaid mechanics lien recorded against a Bloomington property. Why does this matter to a buyer? Option A. It proves the buyer has already paid cash. Option B. It automatically creates a condominium. Option C. It may be an encumbrance affecting title and closing requirements. Option D. It removes all property taxes. The correct answer is option C. It may be an encumbrance affecting title and closing requirements. A mechanics lien can encumber title and may need to be resolved before or at closing. It does not prove cash payment, create condominium ownership, or remove tax obligations. Title review identifies recorded claims that may affect ownership. Question 64. Which deed gives Skylar Nolan the broadest set of title warranties from the grantor? Option A. Quitclaim deed. Option B. Bargain and sale deed with no covenants. Option C. Tax certificate only. Option D. General warranty deed. The correct answer is option D. General warranty deed. A general warranty deed provides the strongest customary covenants of title from the grantor. A quitclaim deed conveys whatever interest the grantor has without warranties. A bargain and sale deed without covenants and a tax certificate provide less assurance than a general warranty deed. Question 65. A rumor says a Eden Prairie home was once the site of a natural death and possible paranormal activity. Under Minnesota disclosure rules, how is that fact treated for Riley in Eden Prairie involving a vacant lot priced at $474,000? Option A. It is not treated as a material fact that must be disclosed merely for that reason. Option B. It must always be disclosed in the listing contract. Option C. It makes the property unmarketable until court approval. Option D. It requires the buyer to receive a separate environmental report. The correct answer is option A. It is not treated as a material fact that must be disclosed merely for that reason. Minnesota law states that certain stigmatizing facts, such as suicide, natural death, or perceived paranormal activity, are not material facts requiring disclosure merely because they occurred. That does not change the duty to disclose physical defects or other material facts. Listing contracts, court approval, and environmental reports address different issues. Question 66. A zoning ordinance limits building height in St. Cloud. What government power is most directly involved for Hayden in St. Cloud involving a duplex priced at $310,000? Option A, eminent domain. Option B, police power. Option C, this cheat. Option D, taxation only. The correct answer is option B, police power. Police power allows government to regulate property use for health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Eminent domain is taking for public use, cheat handles ownerless property, and taxation raises revenue. Zoning is a classic police power regulation. Question 67. A city special assessment for a new sidewalk appears on a property record. What kind of charge is it most like for Drew in Bemidji involving a farm parcel priced at $353,500? Option A, a private broker commission split. Option B, a personal credit card debt. Option C, a charge against benefited property for a public improvement. Option D, a title insurance premium refund. The correct answer is option C, a charge against benefited property for a public improvement. A special assessment is commonly charged against properties that benefit from a public improvement. It is not a broker split, personal consumer debt, or title insurance refund. Assessments can affect closing and ownership costs. Question 68. A lender draws a line around a St. Louis neighborhood and refuses otherwise qualified mortgage applicants there. What fair housing and lending term best fits for Quinn in Minneapolis involving a lake cabin priced at $327,500? Option A, plottage. Option B, accretion. Option C, estoppel. Option D, a redlining. The correct answer is option D, redlining. Redlining is denying or limiting credit in an area for discriminatory reasons rather than evaluating individual qualifications. Plottage relates to value from assemblage, accretion is natural land buildup, and estoppel prevents inconsistent claims. Area-based discriminatory lending violates fair lending principles. Question 69. A restaurant tenant installs removable ovens for the tenant's business. What are those items often called for Parker in St. Paul involving a rental house priced at $448,500? Option A, trade fixtures. Option B, riparian rights. Option C, deed restrictions. Option D, remainders. The correct answer is option A, trade fixtures. Trade fixtures are business-related items installed by a tenant and usually removable if removed timely and damage is repaired. Riparian rights concern water, deed restrictions limit property use, and remainders are future interests. The tenant's business equipment points to trade fixtures. Question 70. Under Minnesota law, which statute is the primary source for real estate broker and salesperson regulation for Quinn in Minneapolis involving a mixed-use property priced at $377,000? Option A, Minnesota Statutes Chapter 287 only. Option B, Minnesota Statutes Chapter 82. Option C, the Federal Internal Revenue Code only. Option D, a local MLS policy manual only. The correct answer is option B, Minnesota Statutes Chapter 82. Chapter 82 governs real estate brokers and salespersons in Minnesota. Chapter 287 covers deed tax and mortgage registry tax topics, and federal tax law or MLS policies do not replace state licensing law. Exam questions often test which authority controls licensing conduct. Question 71. A social media ad for a townhome in Eagan uses a team name. What must the advertisement clearly and conspicuously display for Cameron in Eagan involving a townhome priced at $350,500? Option A, only the salesperson's nickname. Option B, only the property street address. Option C, the real estate brokerage name. Option D, only the team logo without the brokerage. The correct answer is option C, the real estate brokerage name. Minnesota advertising rules require the brokerage name to be clearly and conspicuously displayed. A team name may be used only with broker authorization and the brokerage name still must appear. Nicknames, street addresses, and logos do not replace the required brokerage identification. Question 72. A licensee in Brainerd wants to know which required continuing education topics must be included in the renewal cycle along with the general module for Taylor in Brainerd involving a townhome priced at $339,000. Option A. Only appraisal theory and mortgage underwriting. Option B. Only property insurance and income tax preparation. Option C. Only construction codes and zoning administration. Option D. Agency law and fair housing. The correct answer is option D. Agency law and fair housing. Minnesota renewal requirements include agency representation and disclosure training and fair housing training as part of the required education mix. Appraisal, insurance, tax, construction, and zoning topics may be useful, but they do not replace those mandated topics. The rule is designed to keep licensees current on representation and anti-discrimination duties. Question 73. Under federal fair housing law, which group is a protected class in the sale or rental of housing for Parker in St. Paul involving a fourplex priced at $397,500? Option A. Familial status. Option B. Credit score above 700. Option C. Preference for lakefront homes. Option D. Employment in real estate sales. The correct answer is option A. Familial status. Familial status is a protected class under federal fair housing law. Credit score, housing preferences, and occupation in real estate are not protected classes by themselves. Housing decisions must avoid discrimination based on protected characteristics. Question 74. A borrower signs a promissory note and mortgage to finance a Mankato home. What does the note do for Emerson in Mankato involving a lake cabin priced at $223,500? Option A. Transfers title to the lender at closing. Option B. Creates the borrower's personal promise to repay the debt. Option C. Sets the zoning classification. Option D. Records the deed tax payment. The correct answer is option B. Creates the borrower's personal promise to repay the debt. The promissory note is the borrower's promise to repay according to the loan terms. The mortgage secures that promise with a lien on the property. Zoning, title transfer, and deed tax are separate matters. Question 75. During a first substantive contact with a residential consumer in Duluth, what disclosure should the licensee provide for Reese in Duluth involving a farm parcel priced at $467,500? Option A. A final closing disclosure showing loan terms. Option B. A county tax statement for the current year. Option C. An agency disclosure form explaining available agency and facilitator relationships. Option D. A deed prepared for recording. The correct answer is option C. An agency disclosure form explaining available agency and facilitator relationships. Minnesota requires an agency disclosure form at the first substantive contact in residential transactions covered by the statute. The form explains representation choices and facilitator status before the consumer decides whether to enter a representation contract. Closing disclosures, tax statements, and deeds serve different functions later in the transaction. Question 76. When Finley, a licensee, intends to buy a client's property in Woodbury, what disclosure is required before negotiation or consummation? Option A. The licensee may stay silent if paying full market value. Option B. The disclosure is needed only after the deed is recorded. Option C. Only the buyer's lender must be told about the license. Option D. The licensee must affirmatively disclose the license status and the capacity in which the licensee is acting. The correct answer is option D. The licensee must affirmatively disclose the license status and the capacity in which the licensee is acting. A Minnesota licensee who acquires or intends to acquire an interest in real property must disclose the license status and capacity before negotiation or consummation. Paying market value does not remove the conflict risk, and post-recording disclosure would be too late. Lender-only notice does not satisfy disclosure to the property owner. Question 77. If a seller rejects Reese Peterson's offer and the listing broker holds the earnest money, when should the rejected offer's earnest money be returned? Option A. No later than the next business day after rejection. Option B. Only after the seller signs a different purchase agreement. Option C. At the end of the listing period. Option D. After the broker deducts marketing expenses. The correct answer is option A. No later than the next business day after rejection. When an offer is rejected, Minnesota trust account rules require earnest money to be returned to the potential buyer no later than the next business day after rejection. The broker cannot hold it until another sale, listing expiration, or reimbursement of marketing costs. Rejected offers do not create a right to keep the buyer's funds. Question 78. In Stillwater, a new applicant asks which combination best describes the salesperson licensing path in Minnesota for Jordan in Stillwater involving a condominium unit priced at $303,000. Option A. Be at least 21, complete only course I, and work independently after passing the exam. Option B. Be at least 18, complete courses 1, 2, and 3, pass the exam, associate with a broker, and receive Commerce Department approval. Option C. Complete continuing education before any pre-license education and apply directly without a broker. Option D. Pass only the national exam and begin practicing while the application is pending. The correct answer is option B. Be at least 18, complete courses 1, 2, and 3, pass the exam, associate with a broker, and receive Commerce Department approval. Minnesota salesperson licensing requires age eligibility, 3 30-hour pre-license courses, examination success, broker association, and approval by the Commerce Department. The other choices either remove required courses, allow independent practice, or treat a pending application as authority to act. Those alternatives do not satisfy the licensing sequence. Question 79. A neighbor receives permission to park on Reese Garcia's land for one weekend only. What interest is most likely created? Option A. Easement appurtenant. Option B. Fee simple estate. Option C. License. Option D. A mechanic's lien. The correct answer is option C. License. A license is personal permission to use property and is generally revocable. An easement appurtenant is a more durable interest tied to benefited land, fee simple is ownership, and a mechanic's lien secures payment. Temporary parking permission is a license. Question 80. Which event usually allows trust funds in a Minnesota real estate transaction to be disbursed for Cameron in Eagan involving a newly built townhouse priced at $385,000? Option A. A verbal request from one salesperson. Option B. A social media announcement that the deal is done. Option C. The buyers hope to renegotiate after closing. Option D. Closing of the transaction, written agreement of the parties, statutory affidavit, or court order. The correct answer is option D. Closing of the transaction, written agreement of the parties, statutory affidavit, or court order. Trust funds may be disbursed only under recognized authority such as closing, written agreement, applicable statutory affidavit, or court order. A verbal request or social media post does not provide the necessary authority. A buyer's later wish to renegotiate is not a trust fund disbursement event. Question 81. A legal description begins at a point of beginning and follows distances and directions around the boundary. Which system is used for Schuyler and Moorhead involving a fourplex priced at $296,000? Option A. Meets and bounds. Option B. Gross rent multiplier. Option C. Capitalization rate. Option D. Straight line depreciation. The correct answer is option A. Meets and bounds. Meets and bounds descriptions trace boundaries using distances, directions, and a point of beginning. GRM, cap rate, and depreciation are valuation concepts. The boundary walking format identifies the legal description method. Question 82. A licensee exaggerates by saying a backyard view is the best sunset in Minnesota. How is that usually classified for Blair in Woodbury involving a single-family home priced at $380,000? Option A. A guaranteed appraisal. Option B. Puffing if it is clearly opinion rather than a factual claim. Option C. A material title defect. Option D. A deed restriction. The correct answer is option B. Puffing if it is clearly opinion rather than a factual claim. Puffing is an opinion or sales statement that a reasonable person would not treat as a factual guarantee. It differs from misrepresenting a known defect or title issue. The sunset statement is subjective unless tied to a specific false fact. Question 83. A zoning board permits a property use that otherwise violates strict zoning because of unique hardship. What relief is typically granted for Emerson in Mankato involving a mixed-use property priced at $413,500? Option A, certificate of title. Option B, quitclaim covenant. Option C, variance. Option D, mortgage assumption. The correct answer is option C, variance. A variance provides relief from strict zoning requirements when legal standards are met, often involving unique hardship. Certificates of title, quitclaim deeds, and mortgage assumptions do not authorize zoning deviations. Land use approval is the issue. Question 84. If Emerson Wilson pays interest only for the first month on a $295,600 loan at 6.2%, approximately what is 1 month's interest? Option A, $5,912. Option B, $2,962. Option C, $38,400. Option D, $1,540. The correct answer is option D, $1,540. Monthly interest is calculated by multiplying the loan balance by the annual rate and dividing by 12. Points, tax proration, and front foot value use different formulas and bases. Interest calculations test careful conversion from annual to monthly rates. Question 85. A deed expressly creates survivorship between co-owners of a fourplex. Which ownership feature is being emphasized for Hayden in St. Cloud involving a fourplex priced at $328,000? Option A, right of survivorship in joint tenancy. Option B, no right to possess the property. Option C, a tenant's trade fixture right. Option D, a mortgagee's foreclosure priority. The correct answer is option A, right of survivorship in joint tenancy. Joint tenancy is associated with right of survivorship when properly created. Co-owners generally have possession rights, and trade fixtures concern tenants rather than co-owner succession. Mortgage priority is a lien issue, not survivorship ownership. Question 86. A property loses value because its floor plan is outdated compared with modern buyer expectations. What type of depreciation is most likely for Parker in St. Paul involving a rental house priced at $236,500? Option A, accretion. Option B, of functional obsolescence. Option C, economic rent. Option D, constructive notice. The correct answer is option B, functional obsolescence. Functional obsolescence is loss in value from outdated design, layout, or utility within the property. Accretion is land buildup, economic rent is market rent, and constructive notice comes from public records. The problem is the property's function. Question 87. A salesperson tells owners in Eden Prairie to sell quickly because people from a protected class are moving nearby. What prohibited practice does this describe for Riley in Eden Prairie involving a farm parcel priced at $472,500? Option A, reconciliation. Option B, hypothecation. Option C, blockbusting. Option D, assemblage. The correct answer is option C, blockbusting. Blockbusting uses fear or panic about protected class changes to induce owners to sell or rent. Reconciliation is an appraisal step, hypothecation pledges property as loan security, and assemblage combines parcels. The key issue is discriminatory pressure on owners. Question 88. A buyer pays 1% in discount points on a $271,950 loan. Approximately how much are the points? Option A, $1,246. Option B, $116,550. Option C, $21,368. Option D, $2,720. The correct answer is option D, $2,720. One discount point equals 1% of the loan amount, so the points are calculated by multiplying the loan amount by the point percentage. Monthly interest, down payment, and commission are calculated from different formulas. The point charge is a loan cost calculation, not a sales commission or equity contribution. Question 89. A buyer credit on a closing statement for assumed unpaid taxes generally does what for Cameron in Egan involving a townhome priced at $287,500? Option A, reduces the buyer's cash needed because the buyer will later pay the tax bill. Option B, increases the seller's loan payoff. Option C, eliminates title insurance. Option D, creates a new listing agreement. The correct answer is option A. Reduces the buyer's cash needed because the buyer will later pay the tax bill. A buyer credit reduces cash due from the buyer when the buyer assumes a future obligation connected to the seller's ownership period. Loan payoff, title insurance, and listing agreements are separate closing or contract issues. Credits and debits must be read from the party's perspective. Question 90. A buyer agrees with the lender to become personally liable on the seller's existing mortgage. What is the buyer doing for Quinn in Minneapolis involving a mixed-use property priced at $376,000? Option A, taking subject to the mortgage only. Option B, assuming the mortgage. Option C, creating an easement appurtenant. Option D, paying deed tax only. The correct answer is option B, assuming the mortgage. Mortgage assumption involves the buyer taking personal responsibility for the existing loan obligation with lender involvement. Taking subject to a mortgage lacks personal liability to the lender. Easements and deed taxes do not describe assuming debt. Question 91. A tenant with a disability asks for an assigned accessible parking space near the entrance. What fair housing concept is most directly involved for Emerson in Mankato involving a lake cabin priced at $292,000? Option A, adverse possession. Option B, yield spread premium. Option C, reasonable accommodation. Option D, defeasance clause. The correct answer is option C, reasonable accommodation. A reasonable accommodation is a change in rules, policies, or services that may be needed for a person with a disability to use and enjoy housing. Adverse possession concerns ownership claims. Yield spread premiums concern loan compensation, and defeasance clauses concern loan satisfaction. The requested parking change involves access to housing. Question 92. Under Chapter 82 Standards, what must a broker do to properly supervise salespersons at a Eden Prairie office for Riley in Eden Prairie involving a condominium unit priced at $345,500? Option A. Let each salesperson approve their own contracts without broker review. Option B, delegate all trust records to buyers and sellers. Option C, supervise only advertising and ignore purchase agreements. Option D, monitor brokerage activities, review transaction documents, and review trust account books and records. The correct answer is option D, monitor brokerage activities, review transaction documents, and review trust account books and records. Broker supervision includes ongoing monitoring of salespersons, transaction documents, and trust account records. Salespersons do not self-supervise, and clients are not responsible for brokerage trust accounting. Limiting supervision to advertising would miss major broker responsibilities. Question 93. A lot has 100 front feet worth $160 per front foot. What is the indicated front foot value? Option A, $16,000. Option B, $2,813. Option C, $20,085. Option D, $675,000. The correct answer is option A, $16,000. Front foot valuation multiplies frontage by the price per front foot. Tax prioration, commission, and income capitalization rely on other formulas. The question asks only for the land value indicated by frontage. Question 94. A broker compares a buyer's desired use with zoning rules, parcel size, and market demand. What appraisal principle is being considered for Casey and Red Wing involving a single-family home priced at $402,500? Option A, tie-in arrangement. Option B, highest and best use. Option C, novation. Option D, steering. The correct answer is option B, highest and best use. highest and best use evaluates legal permissibility, physical possibility, financial feasibility, and maximum productivity. Tie-in arrangements, novation, and steering involve antitrust, contract substitution, and fair housing concerns. The analysis is about the most supportable property use. Question 95. Regarding commission language in a Minnesota listing agreement, which statement best reflects the required consumer notice for Jordan and Stillwater involving a vacant lot priced at $316,000? Option A. The state sets one mandatory commission rate for all residential listings. Option B. The MLS sets the minimum commission for every listing. Option C. Compensation is determined between each individual broker and the broker's client. Option D. The buyer must always pay the listing broker directly. The correct answer is option C. Compensation is determined between each individual broker and the broker's client. Minnesota listing agreements must include a notice that compensation is determined between the broker and the broker's client. The state and MLS do not set a universal commission rate for every transaction. Payment arrangements depend on the agreement and cannot be assumed from the listing alone. Question 96. Under Minnesota licensing rules, what happens when a salesperson's association with an actively licensed broker ends for Quinn in Minneapolis involving a lake cabin priced at $430,000? Option A. The salesperson may continue independently for 90 days. Option B. The salesperson automatically becomes a limited broker. Option C. The salesperson may transfer clients without broker supervision. Option D. The salesperson's license becomes inactive until proper association is restored. The correct answer is option D. The salesperson's license becomes inactive until proper association is restored. A salesperson license depends on active association with a licensed broker. Ending that association makes the license inactive, so independent practice is not allowed. Automatic broker status and unsupervised client transfers are not part of the salesperson licensing structure. Question 97. Before advertising Emerson Chen's single-family home to the general public, what must a Minnesota licensee obtain? Option A. A signed listing agreement or other signed written authorization from the owner or authorized person. Option B. An oral promise that the owner may list later. Option C. A buyer's pre-approval letter. Option D. A tax parcel map from the county. The correct answer is option A. A signed listing agreement or other signed written authorization from the owner or authorized person. A licensee must have a signed listing agreement or other signed written authorization before advertising real property for sale or lease to the general public. Oral permission is not enough for this requirement. Buyer pre-approval and tax maps may be useful, but they do not authorize public advertising. Question 98. In a lien theory mortgage state such as Minnesota, what does the mortgage usually give the lender for Cameron in Egan involving a townhome priced at $447,000? Option A. Immediate ownership and possession of the property. Option B. A lien securing repayment while the borrower retains title. Option C. A life estate measured by the borrower's life. Option D. A leasehold estate for the loan term. The correct answer is option B. A lien securing repayment while the borrower retains title. In lien theory, the mortgage gives the lender a security lien rather than immediate title and possession. The borrower retains legal title unless foreclosure changes ownership. Life estates and leaseholds are different interests, not the ordinary mortgage relationship. Question 99. Gradual soil buildup along a stream increases a parcel's size. What term best fits for Casey and Red Wing involving a mixed-use property priced at $213,000? Option A. Avulsion. Option B. Condemnation. Option C. Accretion. Option D. Defeasance. The correct answer is option C. Accretion. Accretion is gradual addition of land through natural forces. Avulsion is sudden change. Condemnation is taking by eminent domain, and defeasance concerns loan satisfaction. Gradual buildup is the key clue. Question 100. A property owner dies with no will and no heirs. What government power may transfer the property to the state for Quinn in Minneapolis involving a single-family home priced at $291,500? Option A, eminent domain. Option B, literal rights. Option C, subordination. Option D, this cheat. The correct answer is option D, is cheat. Is cheat transfers property to the state when an owner dies without a will and without heirs. Eminent domain involves compensated taking, literal rights involve water, and subordination changes lien priority. The absence of heirs is the clue.